What's going on, everyone? My name is Johnny Bandon and I am the CCNA instructor for this CCNA video series. In this video, we're continuing with our wireless section, now going over power and what it means in Wi-Fi. So again, another thing like going over power and electrical and signal to noise ratio, decibels, another concept that can be deep dived for a whole day, maybe a week or two. But in the CCNA, we're trying to get you familiar, quick, down and dirty, easy, high level. Let's go over power and what decibels mean in our Wi-Fi networks. All right, so power. So a watt is how we measure power in our Wi-Fi signals. So a watt is a unit of measurement for power, and it's used to express the power output of wireless devices like access points. So the way we measure wireless power is actually in milliwatts. So we just have a regular watt, and then we probably have kilowatts, we have milliwatts, and then sure gigawatts, but we deal with milliwatts or milliwatts in Wi-Fi. So when we're determining the power, the output power of our wireless signal from an access point, it's going to be in milliwatts. Or we're going to describe it as dBm or decibels per milliwatt. So when we increase power on our wireless device, it can increase the range of the Wi-Fi signal, but it can also increase interference. And power has a lot to do with your regulatory compliance as well. How much power you're allowed to send on your Wi-Fi access point you're trying to produce or make depends on how your government regulates that or the compliance we have. So let's get into this, guys. So when we're talking about watts and power, the way we actually measure power and our received signal strength and how strong our signal is going to be dBs, decibels per milliwatts. We usually just call them decibels, okay? So a decibel. So 0 decibels is going to equal same. And this is going to make sense. Just give me a second. And then 10 decibels equals times 10 watts, milliwatts. And let me write this a little bit better. So 10 dBm equals 10x watts, milliwatts, excuse me, I gotta get used to saying that. And then minus 10 dBm, 10 decibels, equals 1/10 of milliwatts. So what are you talking about here, right? So dB in relation to milliwatts, right? So 0 dBm equals 1 milliwatt. And then when we want to increase power, if we say we're going to increase it by 10 dBm, that means we're timesing this by 10. So if we increase our power by 10 dBm, so times 10, that equals what? 10 milliwatts. Okay, makes sense. It's 10x. So if we're saying, hey, we need 30 dBm of signal strength, that actually means we start at 0 dBm, which equals 1 milliwatt. That's going to be 1 times 10 times 10 equals 100 milliwatts. And then times 10 again is going to be 1,000 milliwatts. That's what the dBm means. And now here's the tricky part. dBm is not linear. It's logarithmic. Well, what do we mean by this? Well, an increase in 10 dBm is times 10 milliwatts in power, and that's how we measure power, right, in our Wi-Fi signals. So 5 dBm would be times 5, and 6 dBm would be times 6. Nope. Since it's logarithmic, 3 dBm is times 2. times 2 power, or double the power. So yes, that's how we measure power in Wi-Fi. So before we go over this equation a little bit more, let me make sure I just kind of hit every mark. So decibels are a logarithmic unit of measurement used to express power ratios and differences. So in our wireless networks, the power output of devices is often measured in decibel milliwatts, dBm, which is the power ratio relative to 1 milliwatt. Essentially meaning 0 dBm, like we kind of described in the earlier slide, equals 1 milliwatt. When we're talking our signal to noise ratio, so how good is our signal in relation to the noise or the interference we're getting? It's also measured in decibels. So when we talk like signal strength, or our SNR, like if we bring up Insider again, we're minus 45 dBm, meaning our signal strength, after factoring everything in to interference, we're receiving an excellent signal strength, because anything higher than negative 45 dBm means we got good signal. That's our SNR. So now let's go over decibels and the watts relation. So decibels and watts are both used to measure power in Wi-Fi networks, with watts being the absolute unit of measurement and then decibels being a relative unit. So what do we mean by this? Well, when we want to increase power, there's an increase in power. If we increase it by 3 decibels, that's doubling. If we increase it by 10 decibels, that's times 10. And that's how we determine the relative power of our signal, or our Wi-Fi signal. So let's kind of break down this equation a little bit. So if I want to do the conversion, let's say I got 46 dBm. Kind of like what I had on Insider. I had minus 45, let's say 46. That's minus, but we're going to convert 46 dBm to milliwatts. And essentially, if we just do the inverse of this equation, you'll get your RSI, your RSSI, in like 1/46,000th of a milliwatts. And I'll show you that. So let's convert 46 dBm to milliwatts. Well, let's go over what we know. We know that 10 dBm equals 10x milliwatts. We know we'll do plus 10, plus 3 dBm equals times 2. 0 dBm equals same, no change essentially, just 1 milliwatt. Minus 3 dBm, we do the inverse of times 2, which is half. You're halving. Then minus 10 dBm equals 1/10. So you're just dividing by 10. So if we convert 46 dBm into milliwatts, how do we do this? Well, we got to break up this number into tens and threes. So let's do it. So if 0 being the same, or 0 equaling 1 milliwatt, 46, I'll break that into 40 plus 6, and then 10 goes into 40 how many times? So if we do 10 goes into 40 4 times. So 10x from 0, which is 1 milliwatt. So 1 milliwatt times 10 equals what? 10 milliwatts. Okay, so we have 40 dBm though we're dealing with. So now we take that and 10 milliwatts and times 10 again. 10 times 10 is 100. Now we have 100 milliwatts. I'm going to put D's right here. So now we've used up 20 dBm of our total of 46. Now we bring that 100 milliwatts back over here. We times it by 10 again. And what do we get? 1,000 milliwatts. Okay, so now we've used up 30 dBm out of our 40, because we're breaking the number 46 into tens and then the rest, the remainder. So now we bring that down and we do times 10 dBm. And that's going to bring us to 10,000 milliwatts. So 10,000 milliwatts is equal to 40 dBm. Now hold on though. We're not done. We still got 6 dBm left. So does 3 go into 6? Yes, it does twice. So now we're going to take this 10,000 milliwatts, and what is plus 3 times 2? And we're going to get what? 20,000 milliwatts. So now we've used up, let's see, 10, 20, 30, 40, and then it's 43, because, right, times 2 equals 3 dBm. We used up 43 dBm. So now one last time, times 2, that's going to equal 40,000 milliwatts. So if we have a signal strength of 46 dBm, that's relatively equal to 40,000 milliwatts. Now you may be asking, well, what if we have a number like 48 that doesn't split into 3 evenly? What we would do is, since it's relative, we would just probably round this up to 49 and then do this equation and be like, relatively, we're going to be around, somewhere between like 80,000 to 70,000 milliwatts, 75,000 milliwatts. That's how we convert dBm to milliwatts. I hope that didn't confuse you too much. Essentially, for the exam, what you need to know is that decibels is how we describe signal strength. And if you're going up 3 decibels, that's times 2. If you're going up 10 decibels, that's 10x. So you got to kind of understand that logarithmic equation. And yes, please feel free to maybe watch this video a couple times. All right. So that's going to be it for this section, or the power section. So join us in our next video. We're going to go over antenna fundamentals, continuing on with our wireless section. I want to thank you all for viewing. I hope you enjoyed the video. And again, if you or your unit, your organization, your corporate office, they need Sec Plus CCNA training, please hit that link in the description below to our website to see what we offer and see how we can get you to your business in person or virtually. Thank you for viewing.